Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GSA Super Metroid Any Percent Tournament. My name is Tracy, and with me tonight is Sloters27. How are you doing tonight, Sloters?
I am doing great. How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm doing fantastic. Tonight we have a really nice matchup between Kipp and ShinyZeni. Kipp of the low percent ice category, Zeni very famous for his RBO category, actually has the world record in RBO. So, going to be interesting to see. Neither one of these guys having their primary category being any percent, but both having a different primary category. So that should make things very interesting in this race. Okay, and as always, from this tournament, thanks to our sponsor, VIE.GG, for providing the prize pool for this tournament. Viewers can bet on races by typing !bet in chat and clicking on the link. It's like Kipp's practicing that horizontal bomb jump that they'll need for the new route, and Zeni working on his CWJ E-Tank pickup that he uses for RBO. I doubt we'll see that strat in this race.
Yeah, that'd be it first, I think.
Okay, looks like we're almost ready to go. And we're just copying their files.
So these two actually have PBs that are 3 seconds apart. Zeni has a 43.48 and Kipp has a 43.51. So it could be an extremely close match, but there's a lot of different sections where it's possible to lose a lot of time. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But both of them are very well versed in this category, and like you said, Tracy, they're very well versed in other difficult categories.
Yeah, the
So
RBO and low percent ice being probably the two most difficult categories out there. Like I say, Zeni with the first place world record time of 59.26, and Kipp his low percent ice time of 51.40 puts him in fourth place. So both very good and just in general running this game.
neither runner picking Japanese text, which makes zero difference in this game since there's really no text boxes to slow you down. So
Yeah, since we
that's
skipped
all
the
right.
intro, in these races. You will notice them copying their files over. That's so that they can start right in Sierra Station instead of having to go through the whole Metroid introduction sequence. Now let's talk about what these runners have done so far. So, previous to this, Kipp beat Traffic Tox in round 1 and Toasty Muffins in round 2. Zeni beat Elminster RTA in round 1, and he beat Sloters, my co-commentator, in round 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't too close of a match. So hopefully, no catastrophes this time.
Yeah. Let's hope Fantune plays nice for both runners this time. And one of the really cool things about this, the winner is pretty much guaranteed at least third place. We'll play the winner of Zos versus Lynx Unlimited. So the odds are that I would say Zos is probably going to play the winner, but of course this is Super Metroid, and as we know, anything can happen. The loser it will not be out. The loser will play one of the following runners, either Scotty McBody, Oats and Goats, or Row Battalion. Oats probably the favorite to come out of that part of the losers bracket, but again, we don't know. We'll see what happens.
Ooh, Matrix Ugly with 100 bits.
Ooh,
Thank you,
nice.
Matrix. I believe did he do commentary earlier today?
I
Thought
believe
I
he did.
saw him.
Yeah, I think I saw him doing the commentary of the Elminster versus Royal Battalion match.
Oh, that's awesome. You guys got a treat earlier then.
Absolutely. Okay, we're just finishing up a few things before we actually get started. Okay, and here they go in the very beginning of Sears Station.
Yep, not gonna see too much difference here. Pretty standard, jumping off ledges, stopping in front of doors. Nothing too crazy until the way back.
Alrighty, and as usual, we're not going to try and kill Ridley here because that would take 100 shots, and no one wants to sit here for that. And this is the speedrun after all. They're just going to damage themselves down so that Ridley will fly away and they can start the escape.
Yeah, the tail does the most damage out of anything in this fight. Either Ridley's body or the fire he shoots, so he'll just stand right in the corner, get down to that critical health quickly, and they're off. So now this escape sequence, it's a little more tricky on the way back. There's going to be steam popping up in a lot of the rooms. There's going to be tiles falling in one of the last ones. So there's quite a bit of RNG to this. It's hard to kind of consistently get the same time. But both of them seem to be doing pretty well coming out the door with 48 and 49.
See, about a high 45 and a mid 45 on ShinyZeni and a high 45 on Kipp, so very nicely done. The only place where you actually want a higher number than a lower number in any Super Metroid run. And we'll head down to the planet.
So the first difference we're going to see between them is that Kipp does not have Moonwalk enabled while Zenny does. And that's going to allow Zenny to do a moonfall through a couple rooms. In most places, it really only saves a couple frames, but in the climb, which is coming up in just a second here, it saves about 4 seconds. And later on, in the final escape, you can save like 2 seconds on one of the escape rooms. So Moonwalk does save you a couple seconds here and there, but it's really not too big of a deal.
Yeah, a lot of older runners don't like to use the moonfall, or the moonwalk, I should say. It messes with their boss fights, in particular the Ridley fight.
Yeah, and you can see it. Both of them entered the climb at the same time, and Zenny got down much faster than Kipp did.
So the first item they're going to pick up, the all-important morph ball, the one item in the game that you absolutely cannot beat the game without. Of course, this being any percent, they're going to have very similar items at the end, but in general, you have to have that morph ball. And now they're going to pick up their first set of missiles. And Zenny's still with that little bit of a lead that he took from the Moonfall.
Yeah, that could change a little bit. These next few rooms are a little bit technical. The one Zenny's coming up here, the old Mother Brain room. There's now enemies in here, and of course it's difficult just traversing this room in general without the enemies. So Zenny falling in one of the pits there, Kipp also falling in one of the pits. It's kind of funny that some of these early rooms are actually some of the harder ones to
Yep.
do
And in fact,
consistently.
the next difference we'll see. So you watch Zenny; he's doing what we call the wall jump climb. Kip, on the other hand, does the Behemoth climb, made famous by Behemoth, although originally done by Just Defend. I like to also call it the ledge grab climb. And so you can see they're pretty similar if done optimally. The amount of time difference is pretty minor.
Yeah, really, it just comes down to preference. There's some people that don't like wall jumping that much, and other people that don't like ledge grabbing all that much. So, really depends what you're comfortable with.
And we come to our first mini boss fight as they pick up their bombs.
Yeah, this fight is pretty straightforward. They're going to want to push BT into the corner, fire off 5 pea shooter shots, and then start using missiles that they farm off of those eggs that he drops. Zenny unfortunately grabbed all the missiles, so couldn't take a refill after doing his first shot. So Kipp saved a little bit of time on him there. It's still fairly close.
Pretty well synced. Important part of that fight is to keep your energy at full, so that all you'll get is missile drops and you won't get any energy drops. And Zenny doing the right side Alcatraz wall climb. Don't see that very often. And as these guys are going to be doing new route, what we'll see next is instead of damaging themselves through the space pirates here, they're going to use missiles to kill them. They want to conserve that energy because this is all they're going to have in terms of protection when they go into their Fantoon fight. 1 E-tank and no suits, which makes it a very difficult fight.
Yeah, I recommend having a lot of health when you go in there, personally. That's just me, I guess.
Yeah, I think you speak from some experience on that one.
So now this is going to be the first real sequence break in the game. You can get an early super pack here by doing what's called a mock ball, which is essentially maintaining your running speed in morph form, and allows us to get this super missile here and skip the first boss fight, or I guess the second boss fight, Spore Spawn.
Yeah, Spore Spawn being a very, very slow fight. Nobody wants to have to go through that. We don't see Spore Spawn in too many categories in this game. Okay, and Zenny the first to get to Big Pink, where they'll pick up their second pack of missiles and the charge beam. That charge beam being all important since without it they'd have to get a lot more ammo in order to do their boss fights, in particular the Mother Brain fight. And still just that little bit of a lead right now for Zenny. So much could happen at this between now and the end, though. It's nice to see an almost synced race here, though.
Yep. And coming up to Red Tower, the next sequence break, we're going to see both the runners are going to be wall jumping up Red Tower here. The game intends for you to have ice beams so you can freeze these turtle guys in order to climb up, but with some well-placed wall jumps, you can actually get all the way up there. And with that, we can go fight the first major boss, Fantoon.
Which, yeah, in new route it's the first boss, but in the intended old route, usually you don't hit Fantoon until your second boss. We need these power bombs here, though, so we're gonna pick those up in order to get to Fantoon.
Now, this next area could cause quite a lead shift. In order to cross the moat, normally you would have grapple beam, or in the speed runs you would just have speed booster, so you can shine spark across. But to get across the moat, you either need to do a frame perfect jump into a 2 frame perfect wall jump, or you need to do kind of a tricky horizontal bomb jump. Um, Both of them are pretty costly. If you miss, you'll fall down at the bottom of the moat, and you have to climb back up out of the water and try again. So hopefully both these guys get one of those tricks first try, so we don't see too much of a lead change.
Yeah, I don't want to see anyone falling into the water. Okay, and Zenny, I think he's gonna have to go for the horizontal bomb jump. Kipp fell
Yeah,
right into the water.
Zenny was a little bit early on the first jump, so
Yeah, I think
he'll just
he
land on the
goes Kipp,
pedestal.
and he has to go back around. This is one place where theoretically Kipp might have the advantage because low percent ice uses this trick, whereas RBO, by the time you get to Fantoon, you pretty much have all the tech, and you're actually coming from behind anyway. Zenny getting it on his second try. Kipp still having a little bit of trouble. And this ocean area that Zenny's going through right now, because he doesn't have high jump boots, you can actually just run and jump across, making it in a way easier than in the intended route, in the intended way where you would have grapple beam to grapple across, but still have those high jump boots on.
All right, Kip made it across now after falling in a couple times. So Zenny with a bit of a lead now. That could change quite a bit though with Fantoon since his patterns are random, and you could get slowed down a lot just because of luck rather than your own execution. So we'll have
Yeah,
to see what Zenny gets.
if Zenny gets some slow patterns and Kipp gets some fast patterns, that could definitely cause a lead change. Also, Kipp having a little bit better energy going into the fight. Looks like a mid for Zenny to start off, but let's see what Kipp gets. And shout outs to Zenny's wife for keeping us updated to his reactions.
So it looks like Kip got a slow. Zenny, I think he got another slow, and now another slow on the invisible round. So this could be good for Kip. Doesn't look like Zenny's getting too many missiles in either. He might be playing it kind of safe since his health's low.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Another death to Fantoon. Fantoon being that one trolly enemy that, man oh man. Zenny going ahead and starting over though. Still a lot of places that are dangerous here that could change things.
Yeah, unfortunately in that fight, you're supposed to have the Various suit in the intended sequence, which reduces your damage by half. So you're taking 40 damage from both Fantoon and his flames. So, and with only one E tank, that means like at best you can take like 5 hits or something like that without like getting any health drops. So
it's a rough fight. It's a rough fight in general, but when you just have this energy count and this suit, it is a very rough fight. Now, Kipp going up into the attic, so kind of some neat strats you use here, because you don't have a whole lot of items. laying a power bomb, shooting that atomic once so that the power bomb will kill it, using supers to get through it, and does it very nicely.
Yeah, one kind of nice thing about wreck ship and new route versus old route is you have way less equipment. So the fastest strats aren't like super difficult. Like in old route, you do all this crazy like speed booster nonsense, but in this category or in this route, you just kind of like use your ammo and keep running. So that's pretty nice.
And Kipp going into the next dangerous room here. He has 189 health, so he should be fine. Typically, what you want to do is run through these spikes and just hit twice. They'll do 60 damage a pop. And even if he had managed to have to take an extra hit, then he'd still be okay. Although, yeah, no one wants only 9 HP. That's pretty darn low. Fortunately for Kipp, he managed to get through with just 2 jumps, and so he's got the full 69. Well, not full, but a decent amount of health there. And he's about to pick up his gravity suit. And as he goes through that bowling, let me remind you that we need to thank our sponsor, BIE.GG, for providing the prize pool for this tournament. Viewers can bet on the races by typing !bet in chat and clicking on the link. And there's that shiny new gravity suit he's picking up.
Yeah, that's really the benefit of coming and doing Fantoon first, is you get this section out of the way and you don't have to run all the way back up here later just to fight Fantoon. And you already have the gravity suit as you head down in the Norfair area, which allows you to pretty much do all the other sections down there before going to Torian.
Right, the gravity suit almost makes the various suit completely unnecessary. The one exception being we will pick up the various suit in particular because in the Mother Brain fight, that rainbow beam will do 600 damage with just the gravity suit, whereas it'll only do 300 damage with the various suit. And it's a lot quicker to pick up that various suit than to try and get 3 more E-tanks.
Plus, we have to get the shoulder pads, right?
That's right. Okay, so now Kipp's gonna head on down, and as you were saying, in old route we have to go through Norfair twice, and the nice thing about new route is you only have to go down there once and get everything, and then just get out. And another difference in new route is Kipp's right now is going to pick up the Spazer beam, pretty much ignored in any percent for old route, because those guys will pick up the plasma beam at the end. However, in new route, the plasma beam, by the time you get it, it's only going to help you in the Mother Brain fight. You're not going to have it for the Ridley fight. So the amount of time that you would save in the Mother Brain fight is just not enough for the amount of time it takes to pick it up. So instead, they take the time to pick up the Spazer to make their Ridley fight a little bit shorter. I believe it's 100 shots without the Spazer because you'll have Ice and Wave, as opposed to 60 shots with the Spazer. Of course, that's not counting any ammo they might have.
Okay, I wanted to mention this earlier, but Kipp is actually going to do Kraid right now, and I was kind of expecting this, assuming he's watching the restream. Kipp tends to play very safe when he knows he has an edge. So if he is aware that Zeni has died, then he's probably going to take a lot of precautions, both in the form of saving the game a lot more and even making changes to the route like this. So the benefit of doing Kraid right now is that he'll have an opportunity to get an extra E-tank on his way out of Kraid's lair, and he can also have the various suit going into Lower Norfair, which reduces the amount of damage he'll take when he does the gravity jump. It's faster to do Kraid on the way back from Lower Norfair, just because you'll have Speed Booster and some other equipment to help out, but it's really not too much of a time difference, and it can be a lot safer doing it like this.
Yeah, Kipp is like you said, Kipp is very big on those kind of safeties, so it's not a huge surprise to me to see him doing this. But yeah, with the gravity jump, you have to take off that gravity suit in the lava, so you will take more damage without the very suit than with. So I expect he will take this extra E-tank since he's coming this way. That being the, I would say that's the bigger safety. The one problem with this slight route change is you'll notice when Kip killed the mini Kraid there, mini Kraid drops a whole bunch of supers. So when Kip comes out of Lower Norfair, he's going to have to be a little more mindful of his super count because he's not going to get what essentially becomes a free refill when he goes through, because he won't be going back to mini Kraid to kill Kraid.
Yeah, it's possible you can get really good drops from Ridley and just like on the way out in general, but typically that's not really the case, which is another reason why, like you said, doing Kraid before Meridia is a more optimal route.
Okay, Kip's heading down to Norfair. He'll pick up his high jump boots and his ice beam.
Yeah, this Norfair trip, it's kind of where you pick up most of the rest of the items in the game, aside from maybe some E-tanks later on if they feel it's necessary. But yeah, Ice Beam is going to help out with the Ridley fight just a little bit, doing more damage output. High Jump Boots and Speed Booster just make your movement much easier and much faster, so it's a no-brainer grabbing those ones. And also Wave Beam too, that'll help with damage output.
And Zeni gained the CWJ on the first try this time. So yeah, Kip's gonna go ahead and go for that ice beam. This is the other place where you have to do a mock ball. In old route, you have speed booster by now, so you don't have to do that. But for new route, it'd take a lot, it'd be way out of the way to go pick up that speed booster and come back for that ice beam. So you do a mock ball instead. And Zeni gonna go back into his Fantoon fight, a little bit better on energy. And Kipp getting the nice mock ball out. That's a very difficult mock ball to get. That one, if you don't get, you still can get out. There's some bomb blocks you can use instead. But it definitely saves time to get it with the mock ball instead of having to waste time bombing those.
It's like Zeni is getting trolled with some more slows. It's the worst when you get slows in this fight. It's just, it feels so long.
Oh, and he had range Fantoon, so he's going to use Pseudo Screw to avoid those flames. It's just going to slow him down even more.
Yeah, I think he was concerned about his health again, so he just kind of wanted a second to relax.
And Kipp headed to get his speed booster. I will point out, he did a very... I didn't quite see the strat he used in Bubble Mountain, but one of the things I really like watching is that I like watching that Bubble Mountain room. It's kind of a tough room, but I see runners do all sorts of different strats in there, and it's always fun to see what different runners come up with there.
Yeah, and this route in particular, you have ice in that room, so you can free some of the waivers in there and use them as platforms. That's I don't think that's too common in a lot of categories. That's in 100% too, but not many others.
And Kipp doing a little extra farming to get his super count up. And Fantoon is down for Zeni. Meanwhile, Kipp going to pick up his wave beam. I kind of think of this as one of the more important, actually, for an old route in particular, but in general, the most important sequence break. The game intends for you to get your ice beam, go up, pick up those power bombs you saw the runners pick up earlier, head back down, pick up the grapple beam, and then grapple over to the wave beam. Which, you know, you're running around half the map just to get the wave beam. Here, you just an extra little wall jump off those. Even you don't even have to hit the spikes necessarily if you get a good running start on it. Just a nice little wall jump getting up to the wave beam, and you don't have to worry about that at all.
Yeah, there's a few cool like sequence breaks that were like definitely intended once you learn how to wall jump in Shine Spark, because the game doesn't teach you those until like none of those would matter. But it's definitely cool like on like after your first playthrough going through it again and kind of knowing that stuff. You can get pretty creative.
And Kipp going through what I've started calling the remembered highway, because we never went that route anymore. That's the intended way to get up to the right side of Bubble Mountain.
Wow.
But we go backwards.
Kipp just went for Lava Spark, which normally I don't think he does it. I'm not sure if because he has more energy he just wanted to go for it, but he's been an advocate for always doing gravity jumps there.
Yeah, actually yesterday he was practicing with the Lava Spark, and he said he might try
was
it
he?
run. Yeah, but yeah, up until then he was very adamant that it just doesn't save enough time to be worth it. But I guess he's had a change of heart.
Yeah, well, either way, having that Various suit made him take way less damage. Only lost like 50 energy or so.
Oh,
So
Zeni
that's
at 16 energy after going through those spikes. But he is okay. He makes it through.
yeah. Now Kipp is probably in the most dangerous area in the game, despite seeing a lot of deaths in wreck ships so far this tournament. But this room in particular, we call the worst room in the game. You'll see he's going to do this crazy strat where he power bombs the blocks up top and uses the iframes of the pirates to wall jump up. And he gets it, luckily. That room, when it goes wrong, it can go really wrong. And those enemies do 50 damage each, so it's not good when yeah. So it's not good when you only have like 2 E-tanks like you normally would if you skipped grade.
Right. I mean, the game in general intends you to have space jump and screw attack, making that room not too bad. But you know that just takes time to pick those up. And in this category, in this route, in this category, you're not going to get that space jump until way later. In fact, you're not even going to pick it up by then. Okay, Zeni doing a little bit of farming as he leaves the wreck ship area. Kipp going into the Ninja Pirates, or the Metal Pirates, using some nice speed booster strats to kill them.
Ooh, 317 energy and 10 supers leaving that room. That's a really nice count to have.
Yeah, one of the differences, the Ridley fight is in particular different in New Route, not only because the beam combo they have means they have to take 60 shots instead of the 20 shots you do with plasma, but also you'll notice that they'll use more ammo in New Route than they will in Old Route, with the idea, well, normally if you kill Kraid second, you get that free refill, but even so, even without that free refill, he's going to use more ammo. He's going to have a lot more time to farm up more ammo, because he still has one more boss to go, Dragon. Whereas in Old Route, this will be your last boss, and if you use all your ammo, then you might have to do a little bit of extra farming before you go to Turian, or possibly refill the ship, and that just takes extra time.
Yeah, so Kipp and his Ridley fight now. It looked like he got the first 2 X Factors off all right. He almost got the 3rd one, but ended up getting grabbed, so some of them missed. So after that, he switched back to his beam combo, and now he's just going to finish the fight with some charge shots, and then the rest of his supers once he gets Ridley close to death.
Yeah, the super's doing double damage. For every super he uses, that's 2 charge shots that he would then not have to shoot. So chances are, once Ridley gets to that pink color, his HP is slightly under 50%, and so at that point, Kipp can just count the number of charge shots he needs to supplement the 9 supers. So I guess there's 6, so it'd be 15 supers at that point, and so an extra 12 charge shots would do it. Meanwhile, Zeni picking up his high jump boots.
And at this point, Kipp is going to turn off all of his beams except charge and wave. And this is because later on in Meridia, he's going to be using X Factors on the bosses there. So doing it now is a pretty good idea, especially since the full beam combo can cause lag in a lot of these lower Norfair rooms. So that's just kind of the most convenient time to do it. And not really surprised, but kept picking up the Ridley E-Tank, so he has 4 leaving this area now, which is way more than he's used to for escaping, so I don't anticipate any issues, really.
No, he should be fine. We'll see if he picks up the Baoon E-Tank. A lot of times just having that extra energy for the Dragon fight, where bad things can happen in Dragon too. Typically what gets you in Dragon is, since they use the speed booster kill, is chain damage, and hopefully we won't have to, hopefully we won't see any examples of that.
Ooh, looks like Zeni got that nice Ice Escape Mock Ball too.
Yeah, very nice. Kipp doing a very nice job of avoiding those key hunters. Though even with gravity suits, those will do a ton of damage when they hit you, and they kind of tend to follow you around. So, and just some nice pseudo screwing to go through those boulders. Using that screw attack, holding that charge beam, or not using the screw, using that charge beam to basically mimic the screw attack.
Oh, that was a really sick bubble mountain by Zeni. He did a D boost off of the waiver right after he wall jumped up. That one, it's tough to land that D boost there. That was really cool.
Kipp, meanwhile, getting out of lower Norfair, going through that last so-called Three Musketeers section. Kind of the game's last middle finger at you, trying to say, "Oh, not so fast. Still need to get through this." Let's see if Kipp does any extra farming down here. Yeah, so here's the other place you're going to lose a little time. So because Kipp isn't going to be hitting that mini crate, he has to do a little bit of extra farming there. Fortunately, it didn't take him very long to get himself up to the full 10 supers. Now just to go through Meridia. Just kind of a fairly technical area, especially since you don't have... The game intends you to have Grapple Beam, which, by the way, is the worst way to get through Meridia. Much easier to get through with wall jumps and some speed booster strats.
Yeah, Meridia, it's really the only section that's like identical compared to old route. The bosses, you're going to be using X Factors and Supers, or for Batoon at least, and then Dragon you'll use X Factors and Shine Sparks. The only difference really is they're not going to be grabbing Space Jump, so they're going to have to do some creative way to get out of Dragon's lair if they plan on carrying a blue suit.
And of course, they won't pick up the Plasma Beam either.
Right. Yeah, conveniently, since all the bosses will be dead after Dragon, they can kind of just go back the way they came, and there's a nice exit up to Red Tower they can take. So this route really cuts down on the backtracking a lot. Zeni going for that Lava Spark. Ooh, we got the...
Too far over. He got the Spark, but he was just too far over.
Yeah, that can be really hard to aim. There's like sometimes you can use the Namahaze as like a visual cue, but it's pretty tight to spark up at the correct spot.
Making quick work of that gravity jump, skipping the Baoon E-Tank.
Yeah, I can't really blame him. I mean, having 4 full E-Tanks after farming there, that's more than he's used to for sure. Yeah.
Let's see if he can get that full halfie here. And he does. Ooh. Very nice.
Almost looked like he bonked and got the quarter halfie, but managed to not do that. and he is going to save his
Making a
game.
save. Okay.
Yeah, we did see Feral die to chain damage against Dragon. Just something, I don't want to say you can't control it, but sometimes it happens very unexpectedly, so not a bad idea to take a save, especially knowing the lead he has.
And he takes out the turret so he doesn't have to worry about those. He's going to start off with a X Factor and then combine it with a Shine Spark. And one of the nice things about using the X Factors in this fight, when those X Factors go bad and those particles start flying around, you can't shoot anything. But here, you're not trying to shoot anything. You're going to use Shine Sparks for the most part.
Looks like Kipp got a really good opener, probably did over half damage to Dragon, got a second spark in there, and just finished her off with ammo. Now he'll probably go for a spike suit to try to do a shine spark out of the Coliseum. Let's see if he gets it. Fortunately not, so he'll have to take the long way out, but that's okay.
Zeni, meanwhile, only 39 HP going into his Ninja Pirate, so he should be fine as long as he gets these guys. They always have a lot of drops on them. Yeah, so he's fine now. Does a nice job with the speed booster strap.
Yeah, and that's good he got full supers too. It's really a pain if you don't get refilled there. It's very slow trying to farm up more supers off of these bugs, and you want as many as you can get for Ridley.
Yeah, because you don't have the grapple beam to help you out with the farm, so yeah, it is definitely much more difficult to farm without that grapple beam. Then he also setting up for some X Factors. And follows it up with some supers. Looks like he missed that one. And Kipp gained that very nice jump just to get out of Meridia. He uses a power bomb to farm some of those bugs. His ammo count is pretty good, so no doubt well, I shouldn't say no doubt, since Kipp, as we already said, is pretty big into safety in these situations. I don't expect him to stop at the ship, but he might do that, knowing that he's got this lead.
Yeah, that would definitely reduce like any chance of him dying in room 1, and would probably make sure he definitely had enough ammo leaving the Metroid rooms. But yeah, he's just gonna keep going. I don't blame him.
Yeah, that's probably the right call. I mean, the Metroid rooms, I mean, he is gonna have to rely a little bit on some drops. 6 supers, though, pretty good number to start off with.
And Zeni finishing off his Ridley fight. Looks like it might have got a little hairy at the end, but he's very well versed in handling Ridley's AI, so probably not too big of a deal.
Yeah, probably one of the hardest part of the RBO run is that Ridley fight, because even though you have a lot more energy tanks, you're constantly being drained of energy as you're fighting him. So you almost have essentially a timer that's going off while you're trying to fight him. And Kipp can you take another little break as the G4 cutscene plays.
You know, one thing I like about this game is that there's not like a ton of downtime and there's zero tech smashing. So you're kind of always doing stuff, which kind of keeps you from getting bored. But it's kind of nice that we get like one break like this before the end to kind of reflect on the run.
Yep. Yeah, in general, it's, this game is just completely doesn't hold your hand. It lets you figure. It tells the story within the game, which is really nice. So like Kipp's gonna use some grouping strats on these Metroids.
All right, Zeni just left the Key Hunter shaft with 159 energy. He's in pretty good shape right now. If he doesn't take a lot of lava damage, then he could potentially tank 3 hits off of the Key Hunters and be able to make it out of there. But you can kind of manipulate these Key Hunters so that you don't hit any of them, or maybe just one. So we'll see. Okay, hits the first one, rolls under the second, falls over the third. So only one. That's pretty good.
Done. Very nicely done. Kipp, in the meantime, has a full 10 supers coming out of the Metroid rooms.
Yeah, 20 missiles and 10 super missiles. He will have 5 missiles total to spare, or 1 super and 2 regular missiles. So for Mother Brain 1, as long as he doesn't like shoot 2 supers and miss, or misses a ton of missiles somehow, then he should be okay. 20 and 10 is usually a pretty safe count for like races.
Yeah, that extra missile pack is generally the last safety that people will give up, going for 15 missiles instead of the full 20. And that's that's tricky because on that Mother Brain 1 fight, sometimes you just get sniped.
Yeah, the turrets there behave kind of strange. They pivot around a lot, and the frequency what they shoot is sort of random. And they also have really janky hitboxes, so it's possible to like get ridiculously sniped.
Kipp having no trouble with his Zeb skip. That's the one true glitch we use in this game. In this category of this game, I should say. Damaging yourself using your iframes to go through those Zebatites, and then they all disappear after that. And now it'll be 60 shots here with this beam combination. You could make up for 1 shot by firing off his regular missiles, since this beam combination does 300 damage, and the missiles will do 100 damage.
Zeni with a nice quick kill on Kraid. Gonna pick up his various suit. Got some really nice super grade. Iridia as far as super.
And of course, this may seem like a lot of shots to 60, but Kipp being used to low percent ice, which is a 200 shot Mother Brain fight, this is nothing for him in comparison. And we know that Mother Brain is more than 75% down, because those ketchup beams won't start off until she takes 1 extra bit of damage after that 75% point.
Yep, and now that he has Mother Brain down, he has lowered his health below 400, but above 300, which allows this next cutscene to trigger automatically. So now he just gets to wait a little bit, watch the baby come on the screen, and he just needs to fight Mother Brain 3 and escape, and he'll be done.
Then in the meantime, making very good time through Meridia. Heading towards his bot lane fight.
Yeah, like we saw Kipp do, he's gonna open up with an X Factor right at the hole that Batoon will come out. which will do 1200 damage, and then he'll finish off Batoon with 6 super missiles. So he landed all the particles
Very
and does a
nice.
nice job with the supers.
And unfortunately, he had 2 supers left, so I didn't see any super drops. He needs those to get into the Dragon fight. He needs 1 for sure, because there's a green door coming up, and those only open up to supers. But he also would rather use supers on the Ghidorahs or the Idors, because he'll take 1 super instead of 3 missiles, so it's a little bit faster.
Yep. And since Zeni didn't pick up any safety tanks, he will have to take the Batoon tank as his final tank.
Yeah, you have to have 3 energy tanks to beat the game, otherwise that rainbow beam will kill you.
Yeah, that one is very convenient since it's in a room you have to go in anyways, and you want to have max health before you try to full halfy and then do the Dragon fight.
Exactly. And all that's left for Kipp is the escape after having made short work of Mother Brain 3.
Yeah, this is looking like a mid 45
It's like a
for
really,
Kipp.
really nice run for Kipp.
Yeah, really, honestly, like in this game and like any percent, I think 2 of your PB is like a pretty solid run. It's very tough to run close to like a very optimized personal best.
Yeah, in a non-race situation, if you die, you just reset. In a race situation, you got to keep going. So, yeah, hitting those PBs in a race is very difficult.
Alright, looks like Zeni got 2 sparks off. He's gonna wait on the 3rd one to let Dragon go off screen. Didn't quite get her. There we go. Calculated health. Ooh, and Zeni getting the spike suit too. That's a double. I think it's like a 2-frame and do a frame perfect trick or something. It's
something like that. Yeah.
it's hard. That's all I'm trying to say. But manages to get that spike suit. Uses it to carry himself across Coliseum.
Well, most of the way since the Shine Spark will end at 29 health.
And Kipp, as you can see, he's already done with the 45-25.
Very nice.
So GG to Kipp.
GG, Kipp. And considering that Death to Fantoon, I'd say Zeni's making pretty good time here. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and finish it out. Always like to see that. Well, like the way he got through that room there. Just using 1 jump to get all the way out there. Yeah, that ammo count is pretty darn low though, so we'll see if he. Oh, he's gonna have to do a little extra farming. Showing how sometimes hitting those green gates the correct direction can be harder than hitting them the wrong direction. He farms up 2 supers, so he's got a little extra leeway.
One really unfortunate thing, like he's taking his time now to hit it. One really unfortunate thing about New Route is usually you're pretty starved on ammo and usually health too coming out of the Dragon fight, and having to go straight to Torian after that. You're really depending on the Metroid drops a lot in order to get the correct amount of ammunition.
Let's see if he chooses to stop at the ship or not. With 1 super, maybe? No, he's not going to stop. He's going to rely on those Metroid drops. very nice speedball through the Terminator room. Yeah, going in with no supers.
All right, now that Zenny will be waiting at G4, we'll remind you one more time. Thanks to BIE.GG for funding the prize pool for us. If you'd like to bet on any of these matches, not just for Super Metroid, but any of the tournaments hosted on this channel, just do the bet command in chat and follow the link.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yo, Kipp.
Good game, Kipp.
Hey,
Nicely
thank
done.
you. Thank you guys for doing the commentary. What's going on?
Just hanging out, watching a little bit of Super Metroid. Always a good time.
For sure.
So I gotta assume that you knew what happened to Zenny, because we saw you take those extra safeties.
Oh yeah, pretty much anytime, like, anybody who's watched a lot of my 80% tournament matches, because we just got done with an 80% match, or an 80% tournament, a few months ago. And then on top of that, I had to do some 80% in the multi-category tournament earlier in the year. And pretty much any time that I see that I'm like, way ahead in the early game, or if my opponent dies, then I always choose to do Kraid second, the Captain Picard route, as I like to call it, just because, y'all know how this game works. Anybody can die at any time. And once you're that far ahead, the only way to really throw it away is to have something, incredibly unfortunate happen. So I just went ahead and kind of played it a little bit safer. I only took one save, I think. I saved before Dragon. Because once you have the various suit and the extra energy tank, which the energy tank is actually the most important part of doing Kraid second. Once you have those, like, I feel, very, very confident about Lower Norfair, especially given the fact that you can grab a free refill, after Ridley 2 if you need to, which I did this time. So it was a pretty comfortable run. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised that my time is not worse than this, because that was, objectively probably the worst Ridley fight I've had in quite some time. That was a not great Fantoon. I think it was a slow, mid, slow, and my Dragon failed too. So this was not exactly the best run for boss fights.
Yeah, and you got caught up at Moat for a little bit too. That didn't help either. But I mean, obviously your movement in the other areas made up for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess my upper Norfair seemed to go pretty decently, and I don't recall, like, other just extreme, mega catastrophes. I did get full halfy, and I got the baby skip, which those are, kind of big time saves versus if you miss. But overall, I was just trying to finish and make sure that I got the win. This was a really important match for me. Number one, I've never had the chance to race Zenny, and I think everybody in the community knows how great of a player he is. And as you guys mentioned, he's the RBO world record holder, a category that I love a lot. So we're looking forward to seeing him run in GDQ. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe the winner of this race is guaranteed to get no worse than third in the tournament, which was a pretty big motivation. And then on top of that, whoever wins gets to face the winner of Zost and Lynx Unlimited. And those are two guys that I have a ton of respect for too. So it was a lot of fun racing Zenny. And, I feel terrible that he died. I certainly wish that he had not. But yeah, I was just glad to get the win.
Yeah, it is. Like you said, when you see that you're that far ahead, it's it's hard to lose a lead like that, especially if you're going to be taking saves or taking precautions. So it's a bit of a bummer seeing a race turn out like that, but that's just kind of the way it goes with this game.
Yeah, Fantoon
Yep.
being Fantoon. But yeah, I mean that in some sense though, I mean we talked about this yesterday, this kind of RBO versus low percent ice. And that's one place where I think you maybe had a little bit of an advantage because you regularly run that low percent ice. And so which at the beginning is very similar to the any percent new route where you have to do the jump over the moat and you have to do the Fantoon fight with the 1E tank and the no suits. Whereas any going through RBO, by the time you get to Fantoon RBO, you've got a ton of tanks. You've got a plasma beam, with charge beam if you want to use it. So uh, unfortunately, that's kind of where things turn on that Fantoon fight, which that's like 3 races in a row where Fantoon has played a major role that I've commentated where Fantoon has played a major role in the outcome. And it's kind of a shame that it just worked out that way.
Yeah, I understand. I definitely agree with you that low ice and any percent new route certainly have a lot more in common than new route and RBO do. Um, and kind of, not, I wasn't thinking about tournaments when I made this decision, but by design, I kind of do low ice and new route back to back, just because I feel like it's a good way to sort of transition, between. And I just got done doing that Dream Hack event with my low ice run, and I was able to kind of lower my PB in the prep for that. And as soon as that was over, I was kind of ready to get back to 80%. I kind of feel like I left a lot of time on the table. Um, my current PB in 80% is actually, an overachiever for sure. But even after that, I kind of worked on it for a while and felt like I had done enough, kind of leveling up to have a shot at PBing again. So coming back to it for the last couple weeks and learning some new tech and stuff like that has been really positive, and I'm hoping to lower my PB by at least a little bit in the next month or so.
Yeah, and you mentioned playing Lynx or Zos. So how do you feel about going into those races? That's going to be a tough one for you, especially if things go to form and Zos pulls through that one.
Yeah, well, first, I had the privilege of racing Lynx in the 80% tournament a couple months ago, and he, I think, in that race also died.
I think it was bowling,
I
right?
think he died at bowling.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was the spikes at bowling.
he died at bowling, so I was bummed to see that. But he's a great player, and he's continued to push his PB down. So that'd be really exciting. And then at the same time, I think everybody in the community and outside the community knows that Zost is one of the biggest names, not only in Super Metroid but just in speedrunning in general. And I consider him to be somebody that I look up to a lot, and think he's a fantastic person and a fantastic runner. So if I had the chance to race him, that'd be a lot of fun. But we'll just kind of see what happens. Regardless, I love competition. I love these races. This is like probably the most fun that I have, with Super Metroid. So regardless of who I play, I'm always ready to get after it, because I just think it's a lot of fun to kind of pressure yourself in a one-run scenario as opposed to being able to reset over and over.
Yeah, it's going to be either way. It's going to be a fun race to watch, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me again say thank you to both of you guys for doing commentary. I appreciate it. I think y'all both know that I feel like you guys are two of the best commentators in the entire community. So I appreciate your time. And it looks like Zeni's going to finish up here. So I'll go ahead and step away, and you guys can interview him when he's done. But GG to him. Good luck to him and GDQ. Really excited to see him do that. And GG to everybody in the chat. Hope you guys enjoyed the run. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, Kipp.
Yeah, thank you, Kipp.
Okay, and Zeni just has the escape left. And a reminder, he's not done with this tournament. He's going to have to go into the losers bracket, where he's going to face somebody really good coming up. At the moment, we don't know who that's going to be. It's going to be one of Scotty McBody, Oats and Goats, and Robotallion. Robotallion having just beaten Elminster RTA earlier today, and Scotty will play Oats. I believe that's tomorrow. And then winner of that match will play Robotallion, who then the winner of that match will play Zeni. So we have a little bit of ways to go before we actually know for sure who Zeni's next opponent is. And either way, it's going to be a tough match and a good match. So I'm going to look forward to seeing that. That losers bracket is, with a tournament like this, the losers bracket alone is just going to be stacked with good players. And Zeni going and saving the animals.
I don't agree with it, but I do it occasionally. I can't lie.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you've lost, so you might as well have a little extra fun.
At least make Fusion canon, right? Because everyone wants to do that. I'm not joking. Like I want to make a canon. I love that game.
Fusion is a fun game. Not as good as this one, but it's still fun to play.
All right, and Zeni is done on the ship with a 5740. GG to Zeni.
Oof. That's all I have to say about that.
Fantoon being Fantoon.
I know how that feels, man.
Yeah. It's all good though.
Yeah, your wife.
I mean, it was
kinda
frustrating,
sharing the last
obviously, but
too.
I got over it. So,
I mean, otherwise it was a very nice run.
Ridley was one of the worst fights I've ever had.
Okay.
I didn't really catch the start. Did you use your supers like right at the start?
What happened? Yeah, so I decided to do my supers for the opener since that's what I do in RBO, and I may as well since I was losing already.
Oh, okay.
But what happened was I tried to fire too quickly, so I only got 2 off instead of 3 or 4, which is what I would normally do. And that just threw everything off, so that's okay. It happens.
Yeah, well, outside of that was still like a really clean lower Norfair. You did 2 tanks the whole way, didn't even take the Ridley tank. And he had clean key hunter rooms after that, so I mean that was a pretty strong section, I think.
Yeah, I had some really clean rooms, just nothing that was really stringed together, I guess, if that makes sense. Throughout the whole run. I mean, lower Norfair though, yeah, I went into worst room in the game with only 48 health, so I knew if I took a hit, I was dead. So.
Well, it's called worst room in the game for a reason, but yeah, you managed to get through it just fine. So.
But yeah, GG to Kipp for sure, and good luck against Zost. It's gonna be sick.
And looks like good chance you're gonna face Oates. So though first we got to see could be Oates, could be Scotty McBody, could be Robotallion. First we got to see how those matches go through. So how are you feeling about that?
I mean, I'm happy about whoever I get to race. I guess just gotta wait and see what happens in the losers bracket. So
yeah, that's a tough losers bracket.
yeah, we have a lot of really good players in this tournament, for sure.
Okay, and also one more time, I'd like to plug your GDQ coming up. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Sure. So I'm running reverse boss order at AGDQ on January 12th. They scheduled me to be the finale of the show, so I'm sure that based on tonight's performance, you can tell how well that's going to go. And yeah,
let's think
it should
positive.
be fun
Come
either
on.
way. I'm not worried about being able to finish the run, and that's kind of the most important part. So yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching that.
So yeah. Well, GG again. I'm gonna take off and figure out what I'm gonna do with the rest of my night. And yeah, thanks for the chance to interview, and I'll see you guys around.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in.
Yep, good game, Zeni. So with that, I don't know, are there any other, at least Super Metroid races we have in the future?
Yeah, we have a few coming up. So this is it for today, in both in terms of Super Metroid and everything else. Tomorrow we have Oats and Goats versus Scotty McBody. So one of those uh, uh, races that we were talking about. We also have Farrell versus Toasty Muffins, and of course that Links Unlimited versus Zosty match. Oats and Scotty at 4 o'clock, Farrell and Toasty at 8 o'clock, and 10:15 for the Links versus Zosty match. So a whole lot of Super Metro coming up tomorrow, plus a whole lot of other stuff. Looks like some Super Mario Odyssey as well coming up tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for all of that.
Awesome. Well, unless there's anything else you want to add, Tracy, I just want to say thanks for doing the commentary with me. It was a lot of fun as usual.
Yeah, always fun to commentate with you, Sloaters. And also thanks to the runners, thanks to GSA, thanks to the sponsors, thanks to chat, thank you all for watching.
Yep, we will see you next mission.
Yep, and since we're at the end of the day, as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you may be.